Today I am in the West End of London, stone's throw from Leicester Square. Trafalgar Square is just down there, and I'm here to go to Mildreds, which is one of the longest standing vegetarian stroke vegan restaurants in the whole of London. It's actually fully vegan these days. And the original Mildreds opened in 1988 over in Soho in Greek Street. They've moved from that location now, so they moved closer to, they moved into a bigger site. And this one has been opened for the last couple of years, and it's one of the biggest ones. It's got over 120 covers in here. What's great about it is that it was founded to create interesting vegetarian food. Well, it's vegan now. And it's founded by two ladies called Jane Muir and Diane Thompson. And they basically wanted to make it more interesting because back in the 80s, all you could get was bean casserole and lentil stew, and maybe, if you were lucky, vegetable lasagna whenever you went out for something to eat that wasn't with meat. So this place is very creative. There's lots of interesting dishes in here. It's very, very busy all day long. So it opens really early in the morning, open till late at night. So let's go inside and check out what Mildreds is all about. Right, so here we are inside Mildreds in the West End of London. We're a stone's throw from Leicester Square here. So I've got the menu here, and really exciting because it's all vegan, but you wouldn't know that it's vegan when you're looking at all of the different options. So for the starters, as an example, we've got kimchi gyoza, arancini rossi, coconut barbecue corn ribs, teriyaki cauliflower cups, artichoke Caesar salad, and al pasta chicken tacos. Obviously there's no chicken in there. Now in terms of the prices, it's somewhere between £8.50 and £12.90, so quite expensive, but you know what you expect from central London restaurants. And then we've got a choice of chef's favourites, so there's 3 of those. Classic plates, which they've had on the menu since the original Mildreds opened back in 1988. A whole lot of different burgers, some sides, and then we've got sharing stuff as well. So really quite a big menu. Now, in terms of if you don't want to pay the full price, there is a tasting menu. So you can have a special lunch where everything is basically provided, but it's £26 per person, minimum 2 people. So I'm not going to do that because I don't really fancy what's on there. So we're going to order the chicken tacos, obviously no chicken, and cauliflower cups to start with, and then we have ordered the sweet pepper chicken kebabs and the beetroot railway cutlet burger. So they've been priced at those two. The starters are priced £11.90 for the cauliflower cups and £9.50 for the tacos. The kebabs are £19.90, quite expensive, and the burger is £16.90. So hopefully at these prices we are going to get something very tasty, but I'll see you in a minute when the food arrives. Okay, so the starters have now arrived and it looks amazing. So these are the cauliflower cups. So we've got, it's inspired by Korean barbecue, that sort of thing. So the idea here is that you pick it up with the lettuce leaf. So we've got a lettuce leaf, a piece of deep fried cauliflower, and then the portion on top is basically, this is like a mayo dressing, but instead of being mayo, it's all vegan. So it's made with oil and garlic, and apparently you don't need egg. If you whip up garlic, it makes it nice and fluffy like this, so it looks like mayonnaise. So the way to eat this is like a sandwich, so just fold it all over and then give it a bite. And it's got a sticky Korean dressing on the top to make it sort of Korean flavour. That's really flavoursome, really tasty, a little bit spicy, not too much. The cauliflower is really nicely cooked, so it's sort of crunchy. It's got a sort of coating on the outside, makes it a bit crispy. It's a sweet sort of chili sauce, but not hot. And then the little blob on the top just gives it a bit of nice cooling flavour. And the lettuce, really crunchy. That's a really delicious dish. I mean, you wouldn't know. I mean, well, I guess you would know it's vegan in terms of there's no meat in it, but in terms of flavour and meal, fantastic. So I have to say that's a great start. Now, I've also got 2 starters here, so let me just bring this one over. And this is the chicken taco. So you can see that this is much larger than those small cauliflower cups we just looked at. So got 2 huge tacos here with a side of guacamole. So this chicken, in inverted commas, is made from soy, so it's a soy-based product. And then we've got coconut yogurt on the top with some kimchi dressing. So let me see if I can get my mouth around this. I'll spread a little bit of this around just so I get all the flavour in there. So this is served cold. Those cauliflower cups were hot. This is cold. Oh, it's quite spicy. So let me just have a little bit of this chicken. Just talk about this because this is obviously the main ingredient here. Soy-based. I mean, it feels like chicken. It looks like chicken. It's chewy. To be honest, if you hadn't have told me it wasn't chicken, you wouldn't really know because it's coated in a lot of spices anyway. So it's got a sort of Moroccan type flavour, that sort of aromatic spices. So not hot, it's very flavoursome. So that's the predominant flavour. And if I was eating chicken here, it would have a similar texture, similar sort of consistency, similar sort of taste really. So even though it's fully vegan, you wouldn't really know. If you gave this to somebody and said it was chicken tacos, and they weren't in Mildreds, which is obviously a vegan restaurant, I don't think people would say, I'm not eating that, I'm sending it back, because it just tastes like chicken, so it's really tasty. That's a really flavoursome dish. I have to say, just based on the starters, this place is really very good. It's very high quality food, really tasty. That's the whole point here, is that you don't want to come and have something where it's vegan and you feel like you're downgrading the enjoyment of your meal, that it's just not tasty enough, that you're doing it to be healthy. You can come here, have an amazing meal, really tasty, and you wouldn't even know that it's vegetarian. So I have to say, it's a great start by Mildred's. So I'm going to crack on and eat this, and I'll see you for the mains. The main courses have now arrived, and this is the beetroot burger. Now, all of the meals in here are inspired by various things around the world. So this patty is apparently based on an Indian food that people grab and go when they're on the railway system in India. So it's got some Indian spices in it, but the actual, let me just take that off, it's got a nice big chili on the top. I'll come back to that, it's a padron pepper. So this is the beetroot burger. So it's made predominantly of beetroot, but also got some potato in there and then some Indian spices. We've got some kimchi on the top and then a bed of sort of coleslaw and a nice bun and some chips. Now let's try one of the chips. Soft. I like a bit of crisp to my chip. A bit soft, a bit soggy. Not the best chips, but the chips are vegetarian anyway, so it's nothing to do with the fact that we're in a vegetarian restaurant. They're just not particularly well cooked. Anyway, so let's have a look at this burger. If I can get my mouth around it, it's absolutely huge. Not sure I'm going to be able to bite it, but let me squish it down a little bit. So that's interesting. So the texture of the burger itself, the actual patty, much softer than meat. So it doesn't have the same sort of chewiness as meat. So it's sort of you just bite straight through it. So it's a bit more give than the bun, but it's not quite the same as a meat burger. In terms of the taste, it's nice. It is quite Indian, so the predominant taste is sort of Indian spices, a little bit of a chili, not a lot, so it tastes slightly spicy. Let's just have another bite. The coleslaw at the bottom is quite thick, so there's quite a strong taste and texture from the coleslaw, and that's actually what gives it more of the crunch and the chewiness. The burger is quite soft and squishy. It's quite tasty. It's all right. I think as a meal in itself, if you're not thinking about a meat burger, it would be tasty. It's not quite the same as a beef burger, but it's all right. Let me try. We've also got a chicken kebab here. Now I can pick this. One thing about this place is that the portion sizes are absolutely massive. So we've got a kebab here. There's 2 skewers of kebab. Now this is the chicken, which is different to the chicken that we had in the starter. So this has actually got more gluten in it. So that will make it more chewy. So I'll give it the consistency. So I'll take a piece of this chicken off. I'll just taste that. That wasn't chicken. That was actually onion. That's the chicken. That's a lot chewier than the original chicken that we had in the starter. I think probably a little bit too chewy. It's very tasty. Got some nice spices on there. I think this dish looks good. There's a lot of food in it. We've got some curried chickpeas here. Have those. That's nice. They're actually very soft. Normally chickpeas I associate with being quite hard and crunchy. They've been stewed, so it's quite soft. And then we've got a gravy here. Let's just taste that. It's like a sweet gravy. It's nice. So I think overall here, we've got a very good dish. This looks very tasty. I have a bit of this. There's a sweet potato mash underneath. So we get a bit of the pepper, a bit of the chicken, a bit of sweet potato mash.
I'll leave your set lunch menu as well, okay? Any allergies you want, ladies? Enjoy.
Works much better with the vegetables. As a combination, that's really tasty. So you get the light, sweet taste from the pepper, sort of uplifts it, gives it a bit of chew, and then the chicken is more just a side rather than if you eat it on its own. I think you can tell it's not chicken, but altogether, really nice dish. So got a lot of food to get through here, so I'm going to crack on and eat as much of this as I can, and I'll see you for the dessert. Okay, the cheesecake has now arrived. I've gone for the pistachio cheesecake, which was recommended to me by the manager here. I said, what's the best dessert? He said, this one. Does look pretty impressive. I do say, when I come to a restaurant, I always like to judge how good the restaurant is in terms of presentation by how they show you their desserts. And that's pretty fancy. That looks like a work of art. I do like all the swirls, everything around it. So let's dive in and see what it's like. Got a nice little bit of raspberry on the top. Okay, so obviously there's no cheese in this cheesecake because we're in a vegan restaurant. So we've got vegan cheese, or cheese, or whatever they call it. So let's have a taste. That's really nice. It's really creamy. So I think with cheesecake, sometimes it can be a bit dry. Sometimes it can be baked. This is quite soft. It's more like a mousse. Excuse my fingers. I'm having to push that on because the base, as you can see, even though it's meant to be a biscuit, it's sort of broken up a little bit. I guess because they've had to substitute something in there rather than butter. So it hasn't really held together that well. So it looks great when it's presented, but when you're eating it, you have to pick up all of the crumbs to get the base on there.
Can we send the heart, please?
Got a nice, strong pistachio flavour, but not overpowering, quite sweet. A little bit of a chocolate hint in there as well. I guess that maybe it's coming from the bottom, or they put some chocolate through the base. Overall, really well-balanced dessert. Tasty, not too sweet, but just sweet enough for my sweet tooth. So I'm going to crack on, eat the rest of this, and I'll see you in a moment for the wrap-up. So here we are at the end of the meal, and I've got the bill. Now, firstly, I want to just say about the service, and it's really good, really excellent, very attentive, very knowledgeable. So they help you out because when you come into a vegan restaurant, you're not quite sure how everything's been made, what it's in it, even what it looks like. So on the iPad menu that the waitress had, she showed me some photos of some of the meals. So she showed me the kebab and the burrito and a couple of other things. So that was pretty helpful because when you're reading about these vegan options, you're not quite sure what it's going to be served like. So it was good to see that. So I think the service in here is great. Really lively in here. It's right in the centre of London, so it's always going to be busy. This is one of the longest standing vegetarian chains in the UK, so opened the late 1980s. So the main flagship store was opened 37 years ago. There's now 6 or 7 of them. I've just got a little card here with a discount on the new one at Canary Wharf, so I get 30% off if I go there in the next week or two. So we're obviously promoting that. So they're expanding, they're opening more, and I think it's becoming more and more popular. And it opened originally as a vegetarian restaurant. It's now fully vegan, so all of the restaurants are fully vegan, which is great if you're vegan or vegetarian or you just fancy not having any meat. So that's all good. Now, in terms of the food that I've had today, so the starters, I was really impressed with the starters. So they were massive, so they were main course sizes, but the cauliflower cups, really tasty, really ingenious the way they'd made it, tasted delicious with the lettuce leaf wrapped around it and the spicy sauce, really lovely. And the taco that I had as well was also really tasty. I thought the chicken in that, the baked chicken, was great. It tasted like chicken, had the same consistency, there was obviously the flavour. Now the main courses, I was a bit disappointed with, to be honest. So we had the kebab to start with. Now the chicken that was in that was a different type of chicken to what I'd had in the starter. And they told me it had extra gluten put into it to make it more chewy. But it had too much gluten, so it was really very, very chewy. And to the point where with the first course, when you had it, because it was part of a different, it had flavour in it and it was part of a lot of different pieces, you didn't really think about it. It just tasted like chicken in a taco, not the main course. It was just like the flavour was the flavour. When you had it in the kebab, because it was so chewy, you sort of ended up chewing it 3 or 4 times extra than you would a normal piece of chicken, which made you think, what is this? What am I eating? So I don't think that really worked. But that meal, the kebab meal, it was a bit messy. So it was like, it was a kebab on a skewer, and then there was a bit of sweet potato mash, and then there was a bowl of curried chickpeas, which had been a bit overcooked, were a bit soft. There was a pot of gravy with it. It didn't really hang together as a dish. There wasn't anything, you didn't really combine them, they were like individual pieces. So I didn't really think that one worked. And then the burger that I had, which was a beetroot based burger, which was made of beetroot and potato, with the coleslaw and the bun, it was just too salty, it was too soft. So when you bit into it, it didn't have any of the texture or consistency that you would expect from some sort of burger, whether it be a chicken burger or a beef burger or a fish burger. You'd expect it to have a bit of bite and a bit of substance and to be the main ingredient in the burger. That burger basically disappeared. When you bit it, it just mushed away. It had a nice flavour, but again, it didn't really fit the bill in terms of what I was expecting from a burger. So disappointed with both of the main courses, and they were almost £20 each, so quite expensive. And then the dessert I had, which was recommended to me, was the pistachio cheesecake. That was delicious. That was really nice, really tasty, flavoursome. So starters were great, dessert was great, main courses not so much. Now, what about the bill? How's it come in? Well, this place is not cheap. So they did have a set menu, but unlike most of the other restaurants in London, the set menus are really, it was basically, you got what you were given, so there was no choice, you just had to have what they were presenting. And there were 5 or 6 different things on there, all sharing plates that you had with somebody else. Didn't fancy any of them, so I didn't have that, and it was £26. So I bought off the a la carte menu. So the total bill, the starters in total were over £21. The main courses were about £40, and then we got the service charge. So the total here was £77.74, which, when you take into account, I only had one dessert. So me and the cameraman had a starter each, and we had a main course each. We only had one dessert. We'd have had another dessert, that would have added another £10, so it would have been up to £90. And I've only been drinking tap water, so this is free, it's complimentary, so I didn't pay for any drinks. If I'd have had a beer or a glass of wine or a cocktail, then this bill probably, with an extra dessert, would have been over £100, which I think is very expensive for lunch. So, what's my overall score for Mildreds at Covent Garden? Well, I'd say it's a great idea, it's a great concept. The restaurant's really nice, it's vibrant, it's lively, busy. The food is good quality and it's all vegan, so there's a lot of really big positives there. I thought the starters were great, I thought the dessert was great. I didn't really like the main course, and that's cost me £40 for those 2 main courses, so that's not going to score it well. So I think the quality of the food here is good. If I'd have liked the main courses, I think I would have been pushing towards an 8 out of 10 here, but those main courses really let it down. So I think my overall score for Mildreds is coming in at 7 out of 10. And if you follow the channel, you'll know that anything less than 7.5 means I wouldn't come back. I certainly wouldn't come back for a main course here, not at all. But if I was going to come back here, I would just order a starter and the dessert, because the starters were massive. You got a lot of food, dessert was really nice. So I would come back just for a starter and a dessert. I wouldn't bother with the main courses. I don't think they've quite got it right in terms of the portion size, the flavours, the consistency, anything. So that's my overall assessment. Hopefully you may drop in here. Mildreds does have, I think, 6 or 7 sites now in London, so lots of choice. If you're going around, look it up. If you're interested in having a vegan meal, it is a good way of testing out whether you like non-meat meals. I've certainly enjoyed it today. So thank you for watching this video all the way through to the end. Please give me a thumbs up if you haven't done so already, and please subscribe if you haven't done so, and I will see you again on the next video.